And I'm very proud to introduce you our director, Kantai Duff, who joined Ewaso Lions, became part of us, and brought a lot of knowledge to Ewaso Lions, teaching a lot of Kenyans about lion conservation, bringing young generations of Kenyans to lion conservation.
Asante sana Jeneria. You're probably looking at Jeneria's beautiful scenic background in Samburu on our deck and comparing it to my cityscape here in Nairobi and thinking those two landscapes don't have very much in common. But you would be wrong, because both exactly where Jeneria is right now and where I'm standing are beyond the boundaries of national parks and reserves. And both these places also possess vast amounts of youthful energy, a new generation rising up to take up conservation in a very necessary and very courageous way. So in the midst of all the programs that you've heard, we actually decided to launch a new program, Beyond Boundaries KE. And this program is a real dream come true for me, because it engages Kenyans in the process of crafting a new decolonized conservation space. We are shedding off all of the colonial thinking that tells us that Africans and wildlife must be separated in order for wildlife to thrive and to survive. Or the thinking that says that conservation leadership is not for people of my skin color. Or that we cannot take our traditions, our languages, our innovation, and put it together with wildlife on our land and call that conservation. We know we can. So on Instagram, we are telling stories about the wildlife that live outside of parks and reserves. We're also telling the stories of the people that live alongside that wildlife. And we really feel that that is important, because for too long now, the people who wear traditional clothes and have been custodians of our wildlife for all this time are treated like tourist attractions to be photographed, and they're not given the humanity and the dignity that they deserve. So we are reclaiming that for them with these stories. We also held a 5-day incredible virtual university symposium. And it brought together students from 12 different Kenyan universities with musicians and entrepreneurs and practitioners to talk about the conservation that they want to see. We also held a very necessary and very, very bold conversation on race, power, and privilege in conservation. And it's been a taboo topic for a very long time. But we really have to break all of that up if we are to get the conservation that we want to see. So we have to talk about it. And as we do, we realize that the solutions cannot come from a place of hatred. They cannot come from angry conversations. They have to come from a place of empathy and kindness, because that is where the compassionate conservation space is going to come from. And that is the conservation that we want to see.
And actually, I can see one of the people who has been studying the royals, close to the royals, and that's David Daberlin. So David Daberlin is our head of field operations. And I think David knows elephant behavior more than almost everyone else in Africa. And David he heads our operations up here in the north. And I'll just zoom in to see how close he is to the royals and to Aden. I can see his vehicle is almost overlapping with Aden's trucks. So I'll just zoom in, and then we'll try and get in touch with David out in the field. So we have pretty good internet considering how remote we are, but it's no guarantee that we're going to get him. But let's try. Okay. Hello, David. Can you hear me? Hi, we are here at the WCN. Can you update us on what's happening out there? I can see you with the Royals. Hi.
Hi Nelson and hi WCN. I'm really sorry that we're not there, but it's also amazing that we can connect this way. Thank you, Jen, for holding the camera. We have Aden here and the Royals, and we've been studying these elephants for the last 25 years to deepen our understanding on their behavior and movement.
Can you explain how you do this?
We know about 500 to 600 elephants individually, although we have about 1,000 elephants that are individually recognized in our study. So, for example, Aden here, the Royals, they're one of our largest group, one of our dominant groups, easy to tell them because of their pink legs. So, but other elephants will have different features, like for example, their ears, the holes in the ears and the necks, and broken tusks, and some are tuskless, and they are all different. For example, I can tell about 500 to 600 elephants individually. Hard that I don't think I can tell 600 people apart, but it's interesting as you study elephant for all these many years, you'll be able to tell.
And how does this research help elephants, David?
Well, I think elephants need us, particularly this, in this era. So elephants, particularly as Africa is developing or as the world is getting, as development is expanding into their range, elephant need us. So Save the Elephant has been studying elephants for the last 25 years. And once you get, to know their needs, particularly on their movement and on their behavior, then you're able to pull other people to come in. So for example, in our data, we have these amazing corridors that has been established over a long period of time. So we have to rally people behind, we have to rally communities behind, so that we try and save these corridors. And how do you do that? Because about 75% of wildlife live outside protected areas. We have to win people's hearts and minds, and through different ways, employment, scholarships that we actually do, and also interest people, excite people with elephant stories that are amazing, because there's so much stories to talk about elephants. So we have to win people's hearts and minds through different ways. It could be variety of things that I just said, but we must protect elephants by all means, by protecting their corridors, by making sure that we know their needs.
And David, can you tell us some of the most important personal introductions to elephants that you've made over the years?
Elephant is such charismatic animals. They're such interesting animals. They're such amazing animals that you can so quickly fall in love with them through what they do. Like no human being in the planet, as soon as they see baby elephants playing just like our own elephants, would not fall in love. So we had Yao Ming, one of the best basketball players, coming to look at the elephants, and it was it was easy for him to just fall in love with our amazing Samburu elephant that would literally, you'd almost touch them as wild as they are. So Yao Ming was here, and he, after seeing all these amazing creatures, he went back to China, trying to join other people to try and help to secure the future for elephant by stopping the ivory trade, or working with other groups to try and stop this. Bill Clinton was also here, and he also very quickly got relaxed around elephants. There were so many elephants around us, and for 1 minute it was, are we safe? Are we safe? But we were very safe, because he got relaxed, and he took his camera out, start enjoying. So elephants are these creatures that as intimidating, as big as they are, it's so easy for one to come very closely in terms with them by just enjoying, because what they do is so interesting. Their behavior, their how they do their thing, how our mothers protect the babies, and how the babies play just like all our babies. So you quickly forget about the big animal and just get interested with their behavior. So it's amazing.
That's great, David. I'm afraid we've run out of time, but it's so great to see you, and all the best to the elephants out there.
Well, thank you, Nelson. Thank you to all our WCN. Thank you to all our supporters. I hope as soon as the world opens and COVID is under control, you can all come and visit us and just enjoy what you're watching behind me here. Thank you, and bye.
When I look at gorillas, I feel that they're very majestic and powerful, but at the same time they're very vulnerable because they're so few in number. I want to make sure that the wildlife is there for future generations. I also want to make sure that the people living next to the wildlife appreciate the wildlife and to feel that this is for us, this is our future. Because without their support, the wildlife can't survive.
Everybody, I'm really excited to be able to present today at the Wildlife Conservation Network Expo. Thank you very much for inviting us to present. And my presentation is going to be talking about our work at Conservation Through Public Health, where we promote gorilla conservation through a One Health approach and how we've used this approach to address the COVID-19 pandemic. I've been working with mountain gorillas for 25 years, starting out as a vet student and later setting up the first veterinary unit in the Uganda Wildlife Authority, and then later founding Conservation Through Public Health. I'm a National Geographic explorer and have ever received the Sierra Club Earth Care Award, and this year received the Aldo Leopard Award, which we're really pleased about. Whenever people visiting the Great Apes, they have to maintain actually a distance of 10 meters. It was increased from 7 to 10. The Wildlife Authority increased it because of the pandemic. Everyone has to wear a mask when they visit the gorillas, and we have very strict hand hygiene before you go up to track them. And of course, if you're sick, you're not allowed up. These masks were made by Ride for a Woman, and the masks that we used during the training. They were about to lay off all their staff during COVID, and we called them and said, please, are you able to make masks? Because they're used to selling crafts and really beautiful local Bitenji cloth to tourists, but tourists were not coming anymore. And so they were able to make masks and keep women employed. And that meant that there were fewer people who needed to enter the forest because they were hungry, because they didn't have money from tourism anymore. And what else did we do in the absence of tourism? We've been supporting coffee farmers around Bwindi since 2016, when we set up the Gorilla Conservation Coffee Social Enterprise, because we found that these farmers were not getting a steady market or a fair price. And yet when you're tracking gorillas, you often cross coffee farms. And not everyone could be a ranger or a porter benefiting from the tourism industry, and we felt that we needed to support them.
So one of the aims of Conservation Through Public Health is to take a look at improving the livelihoods of people in and around protected areas of Africa. And this led us to start Gorilla Conservation Coffee, which buys coffee at a premium from farmers living in sub-counties bordering Bwindi.
This is Arabic. I used to do hunting within the park. Now I grow coffee. Working with City Page is good. We have benefited much from them. Also, I can get money to pay school fees for my children. So the life of the people around the community is now changing.